afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the webinar, Part 1, Positioning Your Adult Education Brand for Recognition and Value. Today we have two presenters, Celina Shands and Anika Jackson from Full Capacity Marketing. I just want to say thank you, and I'll turn it over to Celina and Anika.
Great. Thanks so much, Bethel. And I saw Sharon pop on. I wonder if you want to say a few hello words for hello and why we even put this series together, Sharon.
I do. Well, welcome everybody. It is so good to be with you today. I am excited about this webinar because we have had really wonderful experience working with Celina and her firm. You are probably aware that back in 2017, COAB embarked on a course correction for our brand awareness. And we did this for the field of adult education because we knew that we were constantly saying, oh, don't cut us, don't cut us. And what we really needed to do was instead talk about the great work that was taking place in the field. And when we did that, we were able to come together collectively to really help the field of adult education. We all helped ourselves through this course correction. So I'm very excited to hear what they have to share today. I've also had great success working with Anika as well, who has been fantastic helping us get onto podcasts and really move the adult education brand forward. So with that, I want to turn it back over to these two ladies who I know are going to do a fantastic job. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sharon. It's always good to see you and always great to work with COAB. I'm so excited. We have so many folks on from across the country today with lots of different organizations represented in adult education and also in workforce development as well. So I'm Celina Shands. I'm the CEO and founder of Full Capacity Marketing, for those of you who don't know me. We've been around for 21 years and have worked nationally with more than 500 workforce and education organizations, helping them to build brands, helping them recruit students, adult learners, especially underserved and underrepresented populations. And then, as Sharon said, we've also worked with them on their Behind Every Employer campaign, Educate and Elevate, and many of you may know us from the hashtag Move Ahead with Adult Ed campaign. One of the campaigns we're actually going to be talking about, which pertains to this webinar, is Impacts That Count, which was for Adult Education and Family Literacy Week and beyond. So we launched it there, and hopefully you'll get some good things out of the toolkit there. So very excited to be here, joined with Anika Jackson, who's going to be monitoring the chat and the questions. So Anika, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. It's really wonderful to be here. I am the VP of PR and Operations for Full Capacity Marketing. I attended community college, and I have a huge heart for the adult learner education spectrum and workforce development. So some of the other things I do are I have a podcast called Your Brand Amplified that really speaks to marketing, PR, digital strategies for all businesses, education, workforce development, entrepreneurship. And then I also teach PR branding and occasionally digital content for USC for some graduate programs there. So it's a real pleasure to be here. We love working with all of you and with COAB and all of the innovations that come out of our work together.
Fantastic. Thanks, Anika. And people often ask us, what collectively, what's a problem that you solve for customers at Full Capacity Marketing? And we always say it's being the best kept secret. And I know many of you sometimes feel like that, especially around funding time or trying to engage your key influencers or employers, whatever your target audience is. So we're very excited to bring the 4-part series. This is webinar 1 of 4. If you have comments, like one of the comments I'm really interested in right now as we get into this is, what are your biggest branding challenges? So you can pop that in the chat box. Anika's going to pick it up and kind of review it. And then Q&A, if you have any questions, put that in the Q&A box, and we'll get to those as we move along. This first webinar really talks about positioning your adult brand, and there's going to be 4 of these. There's one next month, one in January, and one in February, leading into a pre-conference session in Nashville at COAB's conference. So we hope to see you there. And I will say that the material builds on one another. So if you have to miss one, make sure you go back and catch the recorded version. I know the recorded version and this handout will be posted by COAB, so you'll be able to grab that. But in this first one, we're going to talk about how you position your adult education brand so that you're top of mind with your different target audiences, whether that's students, employers, or key influencers. So by the end of this session, the learning goals is going to help you understand why brand building in adult ed is a have to have. It's something that doesn't happen by chance. If you're not telling your story, others are telling the story of you. So what is that story? Well, and so we'll get into that today. It'll also help you understand just the foundational elements of branding, as well as the pitfalls of poor messaging and how to course correct. We actually have a homework assignment for you. You may never see us again, but we're going to give you homework anyway, because these are skills that we want you to really hone and develop as you're going through and working on your brand. Also, we're going to touch on this concept of touch points and why that is important. So that's our lineup for today. Again, any questions, go in Q&A in that box, anything else in the chat. And Anika, do we have anything on just their biggest challenges so far?
We do indeed. There are some definite themes here, which we completely understand based on the work that we've been doing. Staff, not having enough people, time, funding, particularly funding for marketing. So having free toolkits, having resources, getting them through workshops like this are really important. Brand presence. Many organizations are saying they don't have a brand. Reaching the right audience. So getting the right fit in marketing to reach the right students, make sure that students are aware of the services, perception on adult education in general, outreach in rural areas. I think these are some of the major through lines that I'm seeing. And then someone else said attendance and the time it takes to create digital materials and assets, which we can definitely help with some of the resources that we're going to be offering.
Oh, yeah.
Utilizing the right platforms for the right students and technology. Wow. Yeah, so there's a lot. They keep pouring in. So.
That's awesome. And we'll use this too to structure some of the material in our webinars 2, 3, and 4. If we don't get to it today, we'll take all your comments into consideration and then shift the curriculum a bit as we move forward. Okay. Somebody said perception of the adult ed system. Boy, that's something we work on with COABE a lot, just in terms of showing its value. That's really, really important, and being top of mind when someone has a need for adult ed. So, okay, let's get into sort of some of the foundational elements of branding. What is a brand? And I love this definition by Column 5 Media, which is really simple. And I've kind of modified it a bit, but it's what people think, feel, and say about your business. And I put /organization, since that pertains to workforce or education. What people think, feel is a really important one, which you're going to see in a moment here, and say about your brand. I would also add value. What does that brand hold in the eyes of your customers and potential partners? What is the value? So this at its core is the definition of a brand. A lot of people think it's a logo, but it goes beyond that. Now, many of you have put in the chat box some challenges that you're facing. Number 1, budget. Yes, I hear you. It's not easy to do brand building in your world. With private sector companies, we work with entrepreneurs as well, because it's such a strong workforce development strategy. They tend to have more budget than you all. So you've got to be very effective and learn these foundational principles so that you can apply them at everywhere you're outreaching to customers. So the first, of course, is budget. Oftentimes when budgets are slashed, outreach is the first thing to go. So we get that. So how do you keep those brand building efforts going? For many of you, it's some of you on the call today are a workforce organization, maybe funded by WIOA. And that in of itself has what we call confusion in the market under brand architecture, the land of the logos. Here you've got a workforce board who administers to a potential contractor that is part of the American Job Centers. I mean, it's all over the place. And even in colleges, you have the college brand, which is your parent brand, but you may be a continuing education division within that brand. So branding can be very confusing in workforce and education. The other thing is just looking at the number of people who, are out there doing outreach. If you think about it, the person that answers your phone is a touch point. They're talking to the customer. So is your website. Sometimes different people manage these and they're not coordinated. So that is really a problem. And that can create a siloed approach in branding and marketing. And that's not good because we answer the question, what do silos do for an organization? And the answer is not much. What happens is you don't really have a well-defined brand story and vision if you're working in the siloed environment, nor do you have unified objectives. So I've seen this a lot sometimes when we work in an organization and we'll have one division maybe working on a specific type of student, another in another division, that's not coordinated and they don't have a unified objective. So that you can waste money that way because a lot of times you can pool your funds and get a better outcome. There's a lack of collaboration, so not leveraging the efforts of your team. And then what is really working and what is not. So these are all challenges when you work in a siloed environment. And I think having a siloed environment is just natural in workforce and education. It just is part of the beast, if you will. The other thing is that, and this is the most important one that I feel you can control, and we're going to dive into today, is connected storytelling across touch points. Now, I've said that word a couple of times. What is a touch point and why does each one count? So a touch point is any place your customer connects with your brand. Your online footprint is a big one. So like your website, your social media accounts, any online articles, where you show up in search engines, which is called search engine optimization. That's also important. So that's one area. Another can be your written word. A lot of you will do flyers. You'll create these flyers that you send out to people either electronically or you'll post them around your community. That's a touch point. Some of you do mailers and catalogs. That's a touch point. Verbal is also another one. Who's answering your phone? Who's doing follow-up? Your orientations? All of those are definitely touch points. Now, we bring this up to you because all touch points are important. And guess what? All of them need to be integrated. If you're saying something about your brand in an orientation, but saying something different on your website or in a flyer, that's going to create confusion already in the market. What are you saying? Who you are, what you do, who you do it for, consistently across all those touch points. The kicker is that research shows that it takes anywhere between 5 and 12 touch points to get a student to enroll and or an employer to engage with your mission. So think about that. Maybe they've called your school one time, they may have seen an ad, maybe a social media post. All of those are really important. And when you think of it collectively, you're not going to be successful if you're just running one ad campaign to get people into your organization. You have to think a little bit more strategically about that. Okay. So how do you know if all your outreach tactics are working? You're doing a lot of things. I'm sure you are. You wear many hats. How do you know if it's actually working? How do you know if it's making a difference in your community, is actually valuing your brand, which is also called brand equity at the center here. So in the chat right now, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to put in just yes or no. If we came to your town and did a survey and we just randomly asked a bunch of people in town, maybe we're at a mall, maybe we're going to different locations, to say, can you name the adult school or schools in your area? Do you think your name would come up in that survey? And they'd say yes, and they would be able to identify your name. Just curious, yes or no at this point? No. I like the no's with an exclamation. Interesting. We're getting a lot of no's, huh? Lots of yeses, though. Good for you. Now, the ones that said yes, we may dig further with you and say, why do you think that is? What outreach or touch points are you using that you feel are being very effective in helping people? And that's what we call top of mind. By the way, that question is called an unaided brand awareness question. Did you have a comment, Anika?
We have somebody with their hand raised. So,
okay.
Bonnie, do you have a question? Okay, maybe not.
Okay. Interesting. Some of them said no, maybe. So this is an interesting question, right? It's a dilemma. Now, what about if for the ones of you who said no, they're not going to, what if we gave them the name of your organization? We'll just randomly say, hey, have you heard of, and then we would insert your name of your school. What percentage do you think might have said, oh yeah, I've heard of them. Now that you've triggered that name, I have heard of them. What percentage? I'm curious to see there. And even the ones that said yes, what have you heard of this school? Yes, I have. And then what percentage of the random folks do you think, okay, yeah, we know. Just going to take a peek here in the chat. Wow, some of these are really fun. 100%, 90, 50, 5. So they're all over the place. 35%. And it's interesting, Eric, that you say 70% of Hispanics would know you. That may be a real key target audience for you. So I'm glad you're kind of thinking in that segmentation terms, because you may have an overall number, but then certain segments of your population. 60% heard of the organization that hosts our program, but not us. See, that goes back to that brand architecture dilemma that we were talking about earlier. 10%. So this is all over the place from like 5 to 100%. I will tell you, when we go and do brand awareness surveys like that, it usually ranges between 6 and 10% on an unaided question. It may get a little bit higher if we say their name, but that's only step one in building brand equity. That's just knowing that you are there. The second part on the grid is comprehension. Do you know what they offer and what they do? That's the second thing. The third part of building brand equity is, do they value after they understand it, and to the point that when a need arises, they will engage with you. So Coca-Cola, by the way, uses the same chart. Their brand equity, though, instead of engagement, is sales, right? So yours is more engagement. It could be enrollments, that type of thing, depending on your target audience. If we were asking employers this, how do they engage with you in work-based learning opportunities, et cetera? So this is really, the chart that you want to look at on building brand value within your community among your target audiences. Now, let's go to another part. What do high equity brands sell? If you look at all these brands here, you can see that, they're high equity brands. People know them. They know what they do. They value them. And to the point, if there's a need, they will engage with them. So, but think about it. They spend considerable time and energy to achieve a position in your mind. Remember, a brand is what they think, feel, and believe about your brand. But when you see these, what emotions do evoke for you, or what do you think about the brand? Does Coke ever say, hey, I'm selling sugary, bubbly water? No, even though that's their product, right? They never say that. They have all these commercials that evoke different emotions and feelings. Does a Porsche sell a fast car? Well, true, they do, but that's not what they're doing when they go to market. They're giving you a feeling of being a little kid again. If you look at all their commercials, Nordstrom, do they sell clothes, makeup, and accessories? They do, but they're selling an experience of going in their store. And then, of course, Harvard, I wanted to throw an education in there. Do they sell degrees? No, they sell prestige and value. And the reason they do that, and the reason we have to take a play out of their playbook, if you will, is that people do not buy goods and services. They buy relations, stories, and magic. They buy relations, stories, and magic. So then our $1 million question for this whole webinar series is this one. Why do workforce and education brands sell features and not emotions? Well, you may say, well, I don't have the budget of a Harvard. No, you don't, but you can still take control of your messaging and your story. That's what you're going to learn here today. The other thing to think about, is it more important to tell your target audience about the details of your program or the benefits it brings to their lives? And the answer is benefits, benefits, benefits all day long. But when we do like communications audit, and you're going to do one for your school, your programs today, because you're going to go and look at your different touch points and evaluate the messaging. Because at the end of the day, you have to make an emotional connection to all of your target audiences in order to start building a brand. And you do that through the message. We say over here at Full Capacity Marketing, if you miss the message, you miss the mark. Now, here's another little fun fact I want you to put in the chat. How many advertising messages do you think you see daily in any given market? You think about your market, you can think about a big market. It's going to depend on what market you're in. And what I mean by advertising messages, I mean internet pop-ups, billboards, radio, TV. What am I missing, Anika? Everything. How many do you think you see on a daily basis? Let's see what your answers are in here. Gosh, too many to count. Thousands, over 100. A hoot load. I love that. That's got to be one of my Southern people. So I'm originally from North Carolina. 2,500, infinite. Right. You guys are all, it's true. And the data shows, and you probably feel like this, but it's between 6,000 and 10,000 messages every single day. When I saw that data point, I just was like, wow, here's another competitor that we have to go against, right? In adult education is the sheer noise in the market. How do you break through that, right? So that's where we're going to start today, is really understanding your current brand messages, because you can see how important it is, the message, and it's really what this session is all about. So I'm going to teach you this thing now called a communication platform formula, and there are 3 parts to it. The first part is a message that contains something about an audience's pain point. The second is the benefit of the solution to solve the pain point. And then the third is a call to action. Now, when you think about this formula, I want you to think of any commercial. And I want you to start looking at those commercials through the lens of these 3 parts. And you will see that all 3 parts are generally in a commercial and add a message. Why? Because it works. So you may see like a ad for a lady broken down on the side of the road late at night. She's scared. There's cars passing her very quickly. She's got a lot of fear. But then wait, she remembers she purchased this nifty little emergency dispatching device that's going to bring her help. And in the next scene, they get to her in a timely fashion and she's off and running safely. So what's the audience's pain point? Fear, right? There's some darkness there in that particular commercial. Being alone and not sure you can get the right help. The benefit is the little nifty device that calls for emergency dispatch. And the call to action is make sure you call this company to check out more. And she's on her way and home safely. So this really works for education as well. And it's something we have to sort of kind of think through when we look at our different message points. So in a moment, I'm going to have Bethel gear up this video for you. It's a 90-second video. This target audience is for the employer, which is a very different story than a student, but it's still, the formula still applies. Samuel here is the engineering manager for Tasteful Selections, and this was done for a campaign in Central Motherlode region in California called Find It, Be It, and it was around career education. There were several different target audiences. This particular one is for employers. So make sure the sound is up on your monitor. And as you go through this, I want you to look at it through the lens of what is the pain point, what is the benefit and benefit of what he's doing. This is talking about partnering with community college, and what's the call to action. You can write any 3 or all 3 of them in the chat box as you're reviewing it. Okay. All right, let's get Bethel on board to show the video.
Tasteful Selections is the biggest distributor of baby potatoes, especially potatoes, in North America. I would say my biggest challenge is getting students out of college that are ready to contribute to automation in today's industry. So working with Bakersfield College, we have developed a program that can instill the tools that students need to be successful in today's industry after graduation. The curriculum that these students come out with is hands-on experience with robotics, PLCs, HMIs. Tasteful Selections is currently offering internships and senior design projects to students at BC. We had a student complete a year-long internship and upon graduation was employed by our company. This is a career for students to get into industry and to be hands-on and contribute to real-world problems to solve automation needs. Tasteful Selections values the employee's continuing education, and it's great that BC is near so that they can enroll and take classes and be lifelong learners. This partnership with Bakersfield College has benefited Tasteful Selections by allowing us to get students involved in the workplace and get our name out in the community because the students are talking about Tasteful Selections and what a great opportunity it is for them to use the skills that they learned in school and be able to use that in the workplace. Career education, a great business investment.
Great, thanks so much. I appreciate that, Bethel. So what do we have in here, Anika? What are they saying are kind of the pain points?
Definitely a lack of workers, lack of available trained workers who understand and have automation skills,
Yes.
educational training. Let's see what else.
Excellent. Yeah. They nailed it. They nailed it. That is the pain point. So think about another employer is watching this video. That is the target audience. And they're saying, gosh, I don't have skilled workers either. Maybe I should consider a partnership with Bakersfield, right? So that's kind of where you're trying to lead them on this formula here. What about solution?
Solutions, getting hands-on experience. That partnering with this program will get students where they need to go and where they need to be able to be great employees, but also to have the jobs that can create careers for them.
Yes, so I would say a slight nuance in this, having the jobs to create a career pathway would be a benefit for a student. But a benefit for employers is a little bit more on what you were saying earlier, or some of the comments earlier, which is a they're getting the skills that are needed. He also said something about it gets the students involved and it helps build his own brand. If you guys caught that. So again, looking at it, when you look at messaging, your overall brand message, but if you're going for targeted messages, students versus employers, really two separate things. A business wants to know that they can partner with you to help save time, money, energy, and they can be more competitive. In this case, Samuel was saying, oh yeah, it's really good at brand building. And so some of the solutions that he's offering, like he's saying, we offer a 1-year internship. That's actually a feature of the internship. It's like what you do, but what's the benefit behind that? The benefit is for an employer, they would have long-term employees, lack of turnover. He didn't say that, but you know, he's saying after a year, they get a job here, again, a benefit for a student, and it helps him build his brand. What other great things that we're seeing in the chat here? Great job, everybody. Really good, especially first time watching that with that lens. I'm just kind of reading through here. The school has, yeah. Excellent. Excellent job. So really interesting, right? The nuances there on just looking at your target audience's pain point, the benefits, and the calls to action. I'm going to drill in a little bit more on benefits and features because I think this seems so simple, but it really isn't. I'm going to first do private sector benefits and features to kind of get us used to it. And then we're going to go specifically into education. So let's look at this slide. This is by HubSpot. And let's take the product or services headphones. Well, we have wireless headphones. That's a feature. But what's a benefit of it? What pain point is it solving for me? Maybe one is no more tangled cords. That would be a benefit.
Celina,
oh, yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, we can't see the presentation.
Okay, well, that would help, right?
And there was also a comment that somebody didn't think the call to action was very strong.
You're right. Oh, in the video?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. So that the video had the website. So these were short videos that accompanied on the website and also on let me put this here so you guys can see it. Also in social media. So there was a little bit more time for messaging and things like that. But on this particular short one, it was go to the website. But you're right. Can they be improved? And that's why I want you to really think through what are these 3-point parts when you're actually messaging. Okay, can you see this slide now? Okay, fantastic. So first one, headphones, wireless, no more tangle cords, a meal kit. It arrives ready to heat. That sounds like a benefit, right? But what is it really doing? It's saving time and preparing meals. That's the actual benefit. An air fryer has a removable basket. That's a feature. Easier to clean up after using is the actual benefit. And then a vacuum may have a washable lifetime filter, but the benefit is it eliminates extra costs. Okay, so let's now look specifically at adult ed offerings. Let's look at apprenticeship. So this is a feature. It's hands-on training that teaches new skills. And people think, well, gosh, new skills could be a benefit. It possibly could, but what does it do? I always say when I'm kind of diving for benefits, I always say, okay, so what? What does that do? What is that new skill going to help me do? Here's a benefit. Did you know over the course of their career, a registered apprentice earns about $300,000 more than non-apprentices working in the same field? So that's a true statistic from Department of Labor. That will be a great benefit for a potential apprentice to know. English as a second language, ESL, classes to improve your English. Yeah, so go a little bit deeper. If it's going to improve my English, how is it going to help me? Maybe be a superhero to help your kids with their homework. If it's for career specific, that would be another benefit. So it goes back to whoever had that was looking at their brand awareness through segments. Very smart, because your messages are going to be different for each target audiences in each market segment, even in ESL. Kind of stackable credentials. Sequence of credentials over time, sequence of credentials that can be accumulated over time. Okay, that's a feature. Tap into a smart strategy to move up in a career to potentially higher paying jobs. So I'm going to leave this up here for a while. Of course, you'll get the handout, but is this making sense? Any questions on feature versus benefit? And Anika, anything you want to add, because you tell this a lot in storytelling, which I know is our next webinar.
No, I think, yeah, I don't want to give away too much of the next seminars, but I think this is a really great way to see what are you offering as your product or service? What are the different features? And then how do you turn those into benefits? And as Celina said, you might have different audiences that are motivated for each of these products or services by different things. And so really honing in helps you figure out how you can position even if you don't think you have a brand or you don't think you have time, it will help you then figure out strategies that will help you not just in the short term, but really for the longevity of what you offer. And that's what we really are trying to help you see, is not just things that are short-term solutions that will be quick fixes, but things that are going to help you in perpetuity.
Yeah, I just saw a comment. It says, the benefit is what's important for the customer, not for you. I love that statement, because you're absolutely 100% right on. Yet sometimes, why then do we put together our website thinking, well, we have to just tell them every little thing about every little thing, or an ad campaign? You are going to want to talk about features, but are you leading with a benefit? That's what we want you to think about. Are you leading with a benefit? And that's going to help you tremendously. And you also know how the course or the program or your school is valuing people, because you're asking them, at the end of, hopefully on surveys at the end, what did you find most valuable about your experience with us or this program or this class? Those are things you want to ask.
Celina, I'd love to.
Oh, yes, go ahead, please.
There's a comment from Mandy Rose. We talk about the marketing form we want to take depending on the length or content in the message. I feel like everything we offer is a flyer or brochure with too many words. You are not alone, Mandy. That is something we see everywhere. Everywhere we go in this space, because your time and your budgets are limited. So you're trying to cram everything into one thing. And so that's something we will show a little bit, how to create integrated strategies that won't make you don't have to deliver every part of your message. That's also the beauty of touch points. And that's something we'll also be talking about in the next seminars. But that tees us up really nicely for some of the things Celina is going to go through.
I love that. Thank you so much. And remember, it takes 5 to 12 touch points. So again, you can't put one communication in front of them. You're leaving breadcrumbs, right? And you're going to where they're at. So things to think about when you're building a communications plan. Now, what we did here is we blackened out the brand name here, but this is an actual adult ed website. And so let's go in. We're going to a section here called career. Here on the main navigation bar, it's all of the things that they do. And here we're in the career training. And I want you to think through with those lenses. What are the pain points, the benefit, and is there a clear call to action? So are you ready to take the first step to a new career? And then this school offers all of these 9 certificate programs, which are listed to the right. If you're interested in one or more of our programs, sign up online to attend a free information session. All of our programs qualify for financial aid. For more information, click the financial aid button below. Registration is easy and can be done online or in person. Let us be your first step. And then there's a registration little button down below. Okay. Does anyone see a pain point here in this particular? And if so, what do you think it is? Feels like a lot of steps, Jill says. Okay. New career. How's it going? Oh, at Laura, sorry, that was no pain point. Andrea, you're right. I don't see the pain point. Kate, you're right. Implicit, but it's not clear. You guys are so on it. So on it. It's not bad. Are you ready to take a first step? But it's not really a pain point. I do see some benefits here. The new career may be an implied benefit, but again, remember the so what question. So what will that do for me? Like, take it out. What will a new career do? Is it going to help me provide better for my family? Is it going to help me build a better life? What are the things that it's going to do? There are several calls to action here. Free is also another free information session that could be a benefit. But still, I think we overuse free a lot too. It's good for this particular audience, but think about other benefits. I want you to go deeper than we're free, right? What is the real value you're bringing to them? So in this one, we've just refreshed it a bit. So instead of, are you ready to take the first step to a new career? We refreshed it. Do you think a new career is out of reach or not affordable? Think again. That's a pain point. Yeah, I'm thinking I can't do it. It's not affordable for me. Well, think again. If you want to change for the better, then look no further than our certificate and career education diploma programs. Learn in-demand skills that employers want. This is combining a call to action and a benefit. Finish most programs in 6 short weeks. All programs qualified for financial aid. And then you can do a couple of things. You can register for our free new orientation. You can learn about financial aid, or you can contact us. So, just refreshed slightly, but you can see kind of the 3 parts are a little bit more clearly defined. Anika, any comments from our amazing students today who are so tracking with this?
Nothing about the message revision yet, but some comments that financial aid eligibility is a benefit, but some students think free equals low quality.
Yeah.
So making sure that we're framing it correctly. Too many choices will leave them unable to decide.
Right.
Yep. And then we have one comment, love the revision.
Yeah, it's just a little more simple. Because see, you wouldn't need to list your 9 classes in the text because you have little buttons right here on the side. So you could just say you have 9 certificate classes or what have you. Get rid of redundancy and really focus in on your platform formula. Okay. All right, here's your homework assignment, and then we're going to give you some free tools, resources, and toolkits. You're going to evaluate your brand's messages, your touch points. Now that you know what a touch point is, you're going to pick a touch point. It could be social media, it could be a flyer, it could be your website. Just inventory the touch points that you're currently using. That in of itself can be helpful because you'll see how many ways, if you take 5 to 12 touches to engage a student, well, what are they, right? Select a touch point that you use to share information about your brand, and then just select an existing message that you see at this touch point to evaluate. It could be like the website one that I shared with you earlier. Identify the target audience for which the message is intended. This is really important because, again, in the chat box, somebody said it's what the student thinks, or whatever your target audience thinks is a benefit is what you're going to use. Now, what you think. Evaluate the message for the 3 parts of a communications platform. Does it have a pain point, a benefit, and a simple, strong call to action? And then rewrite the message to make sure it has those 3 parts, especially the benefit. Okay, so that's your homework assignment. And this is really important foundational work because it's going to build next week when we get into storytelling and also public relations and campaigns down the road. So Anika, any questions on this part? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some free toolkits and other examples that you can use to really help you in this exercise.
Most of the conversation has been around language being important. And so making sure you're using words that the student or the end user will understand, and also words to replace free. So thinking about what language you're using in those words as well, at no cost, scholarship funded, invest in your own educational journey, grant funded.
Low cost.
So somebody said this is
Lower
great.
cost.
We also tell adult learners that although our program does not cost money, our organization is investing in them.
Yes.
That's a
Isn't
great
that wonderful?
framing.
Such a great framing. And then you'll see in November's webinar, when we get into that, like one of the things that I would have loved to see on this website would be like a testimonial of a student. And we're going to talk about how you need to get a testimonial. But that student could say, you know, at the end of it, and wow, I couldn't believe all of this was no charge to me or free or whatever. Has great value. And, you know, so let that third party credibility, which we're going to get into, is critical rather than you. We have a saying my grandmother did in the South: don't toot your own horn. Y'all have heard of that? Well, the same thing. Let somebody else say how great you are. And you do that through testimonials and stories. Okay, are we good, Anika, to move on? And I want to share with them some free tools that are going to help them with their exercise. All right, so this is hopefully a campaign you all have heard. We've partnered with COABE on it, and it's hashtag Move Ahead with Adult Ed. Anika is going to drop in the chat box the Move Ahead with Adult Ed, join the movement. And on that website, when you go there, you're going to see these boxes that are listed. It's launch a local ad campaign. That's something you can consult with us on. But here's what I want you to download. Get your school on the locator map. Because moveaheadwithadulted.org, and we'll talk about this whole campaign in our 4th session. It is a free referral source that COABE has put together for you. A student comes to this website and they put in a zip code and they say, I'm interested in ESL, or I'm interested in career education, or whatever. Your school then would pop up, hopefully, if you filled out this form. So when you click on get school on the locator map, you'll complete the form. COABE will vet it and get you on the locator map. Okay. This is important because COABE received a $10,000 a month Google ad grant that we are managing for them. And we push people to that website all the time. And it's really gotten some fantastic results. The other thing that I think will be of value is download the Move Ahead with Adult Ed campaign toolkit. Guess what? There's a fact sheet in there that has the communication platform formula, has pain points, and it's tailored. You can put your own logo in there, and it'll tell you how to be a proud partner of this campaign, because that helps everybody's search engine optimization when people go to type in words like adult education, ESL, etc. So there are a lot of goodies in that toolkit. And many of you have joined this campaign. We've done a lot of webinars on this. So I know they're on COABE's website about local campaigns and things of that nature. So this is a great resource for you. The other campaign we just launched with them, and this also has some fantastic communication platforms. And it's, oh, I'm sorry, Anika, do you have a question or
Yeah,
point?
sorry. There are a couple questions about Join the Movement. So somebody wanted to know, how many visits a month does the site get? Where can we check to see if we're already listed? And Kate, you can join the campaign for free. You can list your school for free
Yes,
and use the tool for
absolutely.
free.
Yeah, this is COAB's hard-earned dollars at work for you. So yes, they wanted a tool to really build the brand of adult education. And so you'll see when you go to the actual website, campaign website, this is just for you guys to tap into forms and things like that. If you go to moveaheadwithadulted.org, you will see it. So Sharon, yeah, I see you popped up. Did you want to?
I did. I did. I just wanted to share really quickly that the reason why we started this campaign was during COVID, so many programs were dealing with huge enrollment declines. And so we heard from many programs, we're not even sure how to be online. You know, how do we get our name out there? We've never been online before. How do we help learners find us? And so this was really sort of the brainchild of Celina and I came together and thought, well, what can we do to help local programs to get their name out there? So it's been the piece where you can get online and get on the map is free. And then there's this added piece through Celina's shop where you can get additional visibility. And we have seen so many learners pushed into programs through this. So I just want to tell you, this is a great way. It's one of those to give backs from COAB to the field and from Celina's shop to the field to really help increase your numbers for enrollment.
Thank you for that, Sharon. In fact, we did a 1-year press release. The campaign is now in month 30. Okay, month 30. At the 1-year point, between the local campaigns that we did with other folks, and again, we'll tackle this more in webinar 4, and the national campaign, there was 5 million referrals given out. And the site gets about 370 visits every single day. Again, because we're using ads to push that in. If you want more information on that, let me know. Again, we'll do a deep dive on that in webinar number 4, but it is no cost. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, Sharon. I was just going to say, yeah, so email info@coab.org to make changes. Somebody commented that you're listed 3 times or the information's outdated, and COAB can take care of all of that for you. There is another question that I want to just flag that will be in a future seminar, which is there's a perception that adult literacy and learning is no longer needed or important in the US because we're a first world country. How do we change that perception? I think that this campaign is part of that. And then we will be talking about how we're trying to also change that as we go through the different workshops.
Definitely. So this campaign is called Impacts That Count, was just launched. And what we did on this one, we picked out one very specific component, but we also did a little bit more general about adult ed, high school equivalency credential, the pathway for our US workforce. And Anika can drop the link into the chat on there. And here it is here. It's coab.org/impacts that count. This was a partnership with NASDAY, COAB, and ourselves here at Full Capacity Marketing. And we did develop a lot of tools for you. If you scroll to the bottom of that page, you'll see it. One is you may have a great innovation that you want to share. We've got to get really good at sharing our numbers. And there's a data template to calculate your impacts that was shared by the folks in Indiana. Sharon, did I get that right? It was Marilyn over in Indiana, the state director.
That's
I'm pretty
correct.
sure.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to push her credit because she did a great job in making a template for you all. And then we've got social media posts and also an e-magazine that you can use. So here's some examples when you download that toolkit of the social media. And you can see here, we've given you a little graphic ready-made that will talk about your impacts and just some really great things about the adult education system. You know, it's part of it is being the best kept secret. The other part is getting the right message out, which we've harped on all day here, right? Here's the e-magazine cover, and I want you to read it because it has a pain point. In the US, despite low unemployment rates, many families, including those with working heads of households, are still struggling with insecurity such as food, housing, transportation, childcare, healthcare. One program stands out to help low-wage workers increase their skills and earn higher salaries. federally funded adult education system that serves nearly 1 million adult learners nationwide. Now that's just the cover. So that shows you a pain point and kind of gears into, well, what is this system? Here, the HSE credential equates to employment and earnings. So we've got data points there. Again, this was for legislators. Okay, this is specifically targeting key influencers. We have a whole section on impacts that count. And then we talk about you all as the trusted advisors. The adult education system talks about what you do. So go through that magazine and look at it. A lot was put into developing the right messages, and you want to get those messages out. Okay. Now, outside of the webinars, if you want to go deeper, many of you are going to really want to dive into this material. And Anika and I just launched the Brand Amplifier for workforce and adult education professionals. It's 10 modules that really take you through how to develop a marketing and communications plan for your organization. So outside of the 4 webinars and the pre-conference session we're doing, this is something else that you could certainly take advantage of. And Anika can pop the information in there, as well as scheduling a consult with us. You may want to schedule a consult to help you understand, well, what could you be doing better? How could you use the Move Ahead with Adult Ed campaign? You know, that type of thing. So you can click on the contact form and get a consultation with us. And then in upcoming webinars, we're going to do build on our messaging platforms that we've talked about today. So make sure you're going out and evaluating your touch points, doing the homework assignment, and then the art of storytelling, building your adult ed brand through stories. So that's going to be November 7th. They're all from 2 to 3 Eastern time. We'll be sending out registration links as well, and all of this will be posted on the COABE website. So we'll get into storytelling. Part 3 is leveraging public relations to build your adult ed brand. And this is Anika's specialty. Anika, with everything that's just happening in the world right now, you want to just share a little bit about some of the challenges there?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges is you all are so busy. What we found is that often it's hard for you to even have time to figure out who can be spokesperson for your organization, what testimonials and what student stories or employer stories we can share out. And all of those things are things that you should be gathering all the time, because they're great for some of the integrated strategies that we'll be talking about in future ones. And it's also great to let the local community know what you do, what you're offering, right? The same framework when you're speaking to a journalist as when you're speaking to a student or to an employer, just slightly nuanced, slightly changing the language. So we'll really get into that. With everything going on in the world, we're finding that more local angles, but having a story at the local level is more important. And also that finding things like podcasts to go on is more important, because with the news cycle and everything that happened this weekend with Israel, and then not having a speaker in the house, and all the ongoing things that we're all dealing with, the economy, there are a lot of distractions. So this is an opportunity to also lift up good news stories of what you're doing. People want to hear positive news. And when you're looking at building platforms like this, just a little teaser for our upcoming storytelling and PR and campaigns, really think through what your good news is, what your angle is, and remember that it's really about getting in front of the right people. It's not necessarily how many people it's going to reach. You have a limited amount of capacity for program partners or students. So you want to reach the right ones, and they are listening to all kinds of podcasts. They're reading all kinds of news. That's where we really talk about customer personas and getting into storytelling for those personas.
Definitely. So a couple of quick reminders. If you're interested in getting on the locator map and by the way, part 4 talks all about the different campaigns and things that we're doing for COABE and how you can leverage them. So that's the lineup. And again, all these lead to a pre-conference session in Nashville. So if you're liking all this, you want to get more, maybe you try the pre-conference session, you want more, then you go into our actual courses, which we coach you during those courses and actually do a brand relaunch in one of the packages. So you can check that out. Couple of things. If you want to get on the locator map, go to that move ahead with adult ed / Anika will put it in there, join the movement. And it says get on the locator map. So click on that and make sure your information is correct. It'll go to COABE. If your information is listed multiple times, as a few of you said, or perhaps it's incorrect information, you want to update it, send it to info@coabe.org on that one. Okay, I know we've covered a lot today, but I've really enjoyed chatting with you guys in the chat and looking at questions. Anika, anything else to close?
I think the big question is making sure people want to be able to re-review the webinar, or a couple people came in late. So Bethel, will this be sent out?
Yes, so everyone that's registered will receive the recording link. And then the recording link will also be posted on our website under the archived webinars. So please allow about 24 hours for you to receive that, as well as your certificate as well.
Great. And I'm also going to pop in. Someone asked, where do you see the locator map? So it's moveaheadwithadulted.org. Moveaheadwithadulted.org. Just checking to see if there's any other last minute questions. We hope you guys, yeah, and everything will be posted, including the handout. And if you like this one, we really hope that you come back for the next one. And also, just thank you so much for your leadership in the field. We know what you do is not easy. Sometimes branding, marketing, and communications is like, we got to do one more thing. But you can see how important it is to tell your story, right? It looks like Renee has raised her hand. I don't know if we can unmute her, or let's see.
You cannot unmute, but she can throw
Okay.
a question in the question or in the chat. Either
We'll
one.
stay on a few minutes here, Renee, and happy to answer your questions while the webinar poll is going up. Please go ahead and weigh in. Let's see, Renee, if you have a question, we're happy to just stay on. Hey, Karen Holder Jackson. Yeah, love COABE. I do too. They know how to do it well.
And I want to just flag Scott. I see your message, and we will email you to set up a call.
Okay. Can you talk more about the conference and costs? Bethel, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So the conference registration we're planning on launching in next month, hopefully by November 1st. There are like a few things that we're adding to registration. So the basic registration for early bird will start at $650 for members. We are looking to include lunch. There will be like a lunch ticket that will be additional on top of the $650. But more information will be coming. We're just nailing down prices and things like that. But early bird registration for members will start at $650.
Okay. And Kate asked, did you see my message? Maybe there's a lot of messages flying back, Kate. If there's something we need to flag it would be great. Hi, Rob Moore in Indiana. Your adult ed director. It's good to see all of you.